This is JumpStart IT Academy. I'm your host, Chris Johnson. We got another video for you. This video is going to be on the 10 common mistakes new professionals make. Before we get into the video, I want to briefly go over JumpStart IT Academy and what we're about. JumpStart IT Academy is a premier company that provides coaching, that provides courses, and also provides courses to assist people who are new professionals, transitioning professionals so that they can go into the tech industry. Meaning if someone has a background in another industry and they're interested in tech but are unfamiliar with it, then JumpStart IT Academy assists them with career planning, coaching, or mentorship that could guide them in the right direction. So let's get into it. The 10 common mistakes new professionals make. Mistake number 1. No tech career plan or professional goals to chart their course. If you look at the picture there, it's a maze. And technology or the technology industry could be like that. When you think about all the technologies that are out there, cloud computing, cyberspace, cybersecurity, you've got all different types of cloud, Azure, AWS. You have all these different platforms. There's so many different jobs that you can choose in technology, and there's so many different industries that utilize technology. What people tend to do is they get excited about technology because they heard that you can make a lot of money in it. They heard they may know someone who's successful in technology, but they themselves don't know how to navigate the tech industry. What I do at JumpStart IT Academy, or what I've done, is I provided a program called the Fast Track to IT program. This is an all-encompassing program that will give you a tour of the technology industry by comparing different types of jobs that you can take, entry-level jobs, or even jobs that allow you to escalate and increase as you grow in your professional career of choice. And essentially what this does is it equips you with the tools and the abilities to determine what area of technology you want to go in, what salary you would like. And as a bonus, what I've added is an alternative MBA program. And the alternative MBA program contains all the MBA topics or subjects that are in a typical MBA program, with the exception that it's consumable. You don't have to go through 2 years of business school like me. And this will assist you as a technology professional, and it'll make more sense as I go forward. Now, 10 common mistakes new tech professionals make. Mistake number 2. Most new professionals neglect to investigate the tech industry. Some people that go into the tech industry, or most new people, what they do is they'll get a job or they will start pursuing certifications or degrees, but they really won't have an understanding of what that job entails, what that degree involves, or what the certification is really all about. And they're unfamiliar with it, so they don't have any reference point. So they go into this basically blindly. And what I want people to understand is that if you go into this blindly, no problem. You got into the tech industry, but if you want to have a successful tech career, you're going to have to understand how the industry works. I have people who make 6 figures who call me for coaching because they want to understand how they can thrive and not just survive in the tech industry, because they're making 6 figures, but they don't know how to stay. In other words, you can get education, you can get certifications, you can be placed into a position just by happenstance that allows you to make a lot of money, but it doesn't mean that you're going to stay in that position. You stay in the position in technology when you understand how the industry works, and you take your career serious, and you plan out your career so that you can adapt to any situation, and you can become valuable to the industry when you understand the industry. If you don't understand the industry, how can you become valuable to it? What most people do is they become valuable to their jobs, but when their jobs no longer need them, they're not valuable to the industry. So it's very difficult for them to navigate the industry and remain at that same salary level that they were accustomed to at a particular job. Now let's look at this here. Now I said investigate. Let's just do a preliminary review, a basic review of investigate. Carry out a systematic or formal inquiry to discover and examine the facts of an incident, allegation, etc., so as to establish the truth. In other words, you need to know what is the tech industry all about, the truth about the tech industry, not just about what you can get out of the tech industry, but what you can bring into the tech industry and how you can move about the tech industry successfully. And let's look at the second explanation here. Carry out research or study into a subject, typically one in a scientific or academic field, so as to discover facts or information. And that's what I want you to do. I want you to put on your detective cap. I want you to pull out your magnifying glass. I want you to start doing forensics on these different types of opportunities. Start doing forensics on the roles and responsibilities and functions of other professionals besides the one that you may or may not be interested in. Even if you're in an entry-level position or you're seeking an entry-level position, you're still going to need to understand cloud computing. You're going to have a general understanding of all these different technologies, or also you need to understand how different industries apply those technologies. For example, I remember working for a pharmaceutical company, and what I did was I was helping the sales reps. And what I do is I managed the network. So I was a network administrator, and plus I managed the laptops for these for these sales representatives at the pharmaceutical company. And it involved repairing PCs. It involved managing firewalls, and it involved managing networking devices and servers, and also managing computers, and also managing their mobile phones so that they can connect to the network as well. So that particular industry, that's how that industry was utilizing technology. And each industry is different. And I remember my manager approaching me and bringing me a stack of magazines and says, you need to understand what goes on in the pharmaceutical industry so that you understand who the salespeople are interacting with. You need to understand the medical people involved with the pharmaceutical industries, and you need to understand how the industry works. And that's how I knew that it was important to understand the industry that you're operating technology, or you're a practitioner of technology in, regardless of what specialty you're using to apply to that industry. Let's go to the next slide. 10 common mistakes new tech professionals make. Mistake number 3. Let's look at this. No coach or mentor to help guide our plan direction. What people do in project management, there's a term that we like to use, and it's it can go in any combination, but set, ready, aim, or fire, ready, aim. Ready, aim, fire is what you want to focus on. But some people, they aim, ready, fire, or fire, ready, aim. And when you do it in the improper, basically sequence, what happens is that you're not going to hit your target. And so what people do is they will start out their tech career. What new professionals will do is they'll start out their tech career and they will not have a target. They won't have a target that they're aiming towards, or they won't be working towards a target, or it won't even be on their radar that they should be working towards a target. Some people just make their target, I want to get into tech, and they get into tech. And then when they get into tech, they sit in a job and really don't move around or don't develop themselves so that they can take on greater or more responsibilities or achieve financial goals that they may have. They'll just be zealous, meaning they'll be passionate, but they won't have the knowledge on how to leverage their existing opportunity, nor how to gain traction to go towards the goals that they have a vision for, because they simply have a vision, but they don't plan it out, and they don't have anyone who can assist them to do such things. Now, what I put here was a lighthouse, and a lighthouse is a tower or other structure containing a beacon of light to warn or guide ships at sea. Excuse me. Now, what I want you to understand is this, that a coach or a mentor I provide coaching services as well. You can go to JumpStartItAcademy.com and go ahead and check out our coaching services. We provide 30-minute or hour coaching service depending on what you would require. But being a lighthouse or an IT career, lead IT career coach, what I want to do is I want to be that beacon of light so that when your career is lost at sea, or you're hitting rough waters, or you don't even know what sea to get into, then I can be that beacon of light to guide you and to direct your path so you can reach the proper destination that specifically aligns with your financial goals, your career goals, or your technological goals or learning goals. Next slide. Okay. Mistake number 4, short-sighted thinking that a tech job is a tech career. Some people will enter into a tech job and they will believe that they have a tech career, not realizing that all they're doing is working at a job, meaning that you have a tech career when you're positioned in your job and you're a subject matter expert, meaning someone that is heavily sought out, someone that is paid very well, and there's demand for your skills, and your skills are marketable, meaning that you are valuable to the industry, and that if you were at a particular company and they no longer needed your services, then you could go get a job somewhere else because you have a career, meaning you made yourself valuable to the industry and not just to a particular job. Now, what I want you to focus on is that people who think that they're in a career when they're in a job, these are people who are short-sighted. Let's look at the definition of short-sighted. Unable to see things clearly unless they are relatively close to the eyes, nearsighted, lacking imagination or foresight. What I want you to do is I want you to think about where you're going before you start on your journey. I don't want you to just start on your journey. Meaning, let's say, for example, you're in a position right now and you're in a particular field or in a particular job. Let's say you were in a position where they want to relocate you to a tech role and that's what you want. Well, that's great, but you need to be in that tech role, that tech job, but you need to start thinking about what do I want to do next? Where do I want to go? What skills do I want to learn, and what skills are in demand at this particular job, but also valuable in the industry? When you start thinking like that and you start making a plan to get past the basic phase of getting an entry-level certification or entry-level job, you start getting into the intermediate levels. That means that you're on your way. You're going to go from being a journeyman to being a master, a subject matter expert, and you will be at the senior level. But all this happens not by accident. All of this happens when you have your head on straight and you're thinking sharply and you're considering the direction you're going and you're planning. You're being very purposeful because you know what you want from yourself and you know what you're going to contribute to the tech industry. Let's go to the next slide. 10 common mistakes new tech professionals make. Mistake number 5. Treating business separate from technology. What do I mean by that? This is what I mean. I mean that, let's just look at this example right here. What comes first, business or tech? And I use the analogy of chicken or the egg. Well, I'm not going to get into the controversy of what comes first, the chicken or the egg, but I'm going to tell you that you need the business, and the business is critical. What businesses will have are business continuity plans. And these are basically plans that allow the business to function should something go awry, meaning that there's a natural disaster or some sort of man-made disaster that would cause them to retool their operations so that they can continue to function and make a profit and remain solvable. Now, what technical people tend to do is get into technical positions, roles, or jobs, and they focus heavily just on the technology and they disregard the business. And now I'm going to explain to you and give you an insight on how the tech industry functions. Now, there is strife between the business people and the technology people, or the technology specialists. The reason that there's an issue with business people and tech people is because business people are business centric. They're focusing on the business. They want to understand profit, loss. They want to understand sales and leads and marketing. They want to understand how they can better do their job in terms of increasing the revenue or profit for the organization. Technical people are more concerned with the integrity of the technology that they're applying. And they are sometimes just blinded to the fact that all this stuff costs money. Business people know that because they're managing the money. And there becomes friction in these meetings between business people and tech people because the tech are blinded only seeing tech and the business people are blinded only seeing business. Now, both of them may have the correct and a wholehearted intent to do good for the organization. But nonetheless, if there isn't someone who can be in the gap or intervene and or communicate between both the business and the tech people, then what happens is there tends to remain constraint and it damages relationships and interdepartmental functionality, meaning organizational development is hindered, morale could be hindered, and all types of things can go wrong. Now, what I recommend you do, I recommend you respect the business because the business can operate without the technology, whether you believe it or not. Businesses operated without technology before, and if they had to do it again, I'm sure a lot of these companies would. Now, I'm not talking about businesses who purely run through the cloud and things of that nature. I'm simply there's a point I'm making. I want you to understand, don't make tech so important that you neglect the fact that technology operates within a business. They're not in business for you to be a technician or a technical engineer. They're in business for their business operations, and technology is to aid or supplement business operation. Technology is not there to trump business operations. So I want you to understand that. And I want you to know that I created a program it's called the Fast Track to IT program. And it's an online digital mentoring program that pretty much walks you through every step of the way that I use to get into the tech industry. And it'll give you an understanding of the technology industry. It'll give you understanding of the different jobs, the different salaries, it'll give you some ideas so that you can plan out your career. I show you how to create curriculum, how to learn anything. And one point that I want to make in particular is this. Within the last year, I added a alternative MBA program to give you those general business skills you need as a technical professional so that you can interface with these business people and your career can be viable and you can be basically a liaison between the business people and the tech people. If you take a program like this, then you'll start understanding some of the concerns and some of the thought patterns of the business people. You'll be able to relate to them, talk to them in their language, and you can make meetings go smoothly and you can heal relationships in these work environments. Let's go to the next slide. 10 common mistakes new tech professionals make. Mistake number 6, not developing soft skills. And I'm talking to you techies out there, the people who are techies or people who are aspiring to be technical resources, not developing tech skills. These are the non-techies. These are the business type people, the people who have mastered some form of specialized soft skill. What I want you to understand is this. Tech skills and soft skills are like peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. You need both to have a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. You need those tech skills. You need those soft skills. So if you're in a career field where you're getting paid primarily for your soft skills, such as a sales professional, such as a project manager, or such as a technology manager or a director, then you still need to learn tech skills. You need to learn some type of tech skills or have an understanding, a general working knowledge of tech skills. You don't have to be an expert, but you do need to be able to relate to techie people. And the techies, you all techies, you need to be able to relate to business people. This is a good segue from the previous slide. You need to understand the business. You need to understand those soft skills. You need to understand how to communicate with other people. You need to understand how meetings should operate. You need to understand key things like leadership. You need to understand business operations. You need to understand these things. You need to understand what business analysts are thinking, because if you can understand these things, then you'll be in a position to have a long career, not just have a job. Let's go to the next slide. 10 common mistakes new tech professionals make. Mistake number 7, becoming complacent and are not keeping skills up to date. When I say becoming complacent, this can go into people who have listened to everything that I've said. They have a career now. They went from an entry-level job, they went to a middle-level tech job, and now they're a senior resource, and they're in an organization and they're making over 6 figures. They're enjoying their life. They're having a good time. And what these people will do, they'll become complacent. You need to understand that technology is always moving, so you need to have a plan to continuously learn. You have to always be improving, even in small increments. Those small increments of knowledge that you acquire, just remember that knowledge compounds. But if you aren't even assimilating any knowledge, if you're not consuming any knowledge, you're not going to be able to assimilate. You're not going to be able to adapt. You're not going to become valuable. And if you're indispensable and you be complacent when you're indispensable, you could easily become dispensable. That goes into not keeping your skills up to date. If you're not keeping your skills up to date, you can literally date yourself out of or become outdated in the tech industry. You can literally cause your skills not to be in demand anymore, and you could have improved your skills along the way, but you got to have a plan. You got to be serious about your career. I don't care how far you make it in technology. You need to always be thinking about what's next. Technology is always presenting something next, something innovative, something exciting. So you have to be the same way. You need to be innovative. You need to be exciting. You need to be learning new things. You need to be mastering new things. You need to be improving that skill that you learn. I always recommend that you learn one major skill. Be known for one thing. Be known for one skill. I tell people, I tell my coaching clients, I say, look, Burger King makes burgers. Pizza Hut makes pizza. When I say your name, what are we going to say when I say your name? We need to be able to attribute your name with a specialty. So just keep that in mind. And when you do find that one skill that you want to master, that one skill that will turn you into the subject matter expert and help you make that 6 figures you desire, then don't get lazy. Don't get complacent, because you just as easy as you were able to get that job is just as easy as the company can replace you because you're no longer valuable. 10 common mistakes new professionals make. Mistake number 8, ignoring or neglecting personal growth. What I want you to understand is this, that you are a person. Now, I know you're a person, but as a person, you need to develop. I mean, you have a soul, meaning you have a mind, you have a body, you have a will. And if you have a mind and a body and a will, that means that you're human. You're just like the rest of us. Your mood may change, and you may be very good at your career. You may be very good, but guess what? Things happen in life. And as things happen in your personal life or professional life, you need to keep maturing. You need to keep maturing as a person. You need to keep maturing as a human. You need to understand different cultures. You need to understand different subjects. You need to understand a lot of different things. Now, I'm not telling you to make it a priority to become some know-it-all. You'll never know it all. What I'm saying is know yourself. That's what I'm saying. You don't need to know it all, but at least know you. Know your moods. Know your shortcomings. If you have a temper, learn how to develop patience. If you talk too much, learn how to be quiet. If you don't talk enough, learn how to communicate. These things can be fixed. I'm not telling you to be perfect, but I'm telling you to develop, and I want you to be on the path towards perfection. You may never reach it, but what good is it to be good enough when you could be excellent? So metamorphosis, let's look at this. In an insect or amphibian, the process of transformation from an immature form to an adult form in 2 or more distinct stages. The next definition is a change of the form or nature of a thing or person into a completely different one by natural or supernatural means. And that's what I want it to be like for you. I want you to continue to develop as a person, learn about yourself, learn your weaknesses, and start strengthening your weaknesses. So as you mature and your knowledge of self and your perfection of yourself starts to compound, later in your career, you'll start to see that during a situation. I'll give you an example. I worked for a sheriff's department, and some of the people thought it was kind of funny. I was a senior engineer, and I was one of the leads for a very major project, and they thought it was funny to run into the lab and tell me that the network is down. So they all ran in there and said the network is down, the network is down. And so I just calmly looked at them and I said, what section of the network, what part of the network, and who's being impacted? And they all looked shocked because, see, they expected me to be distraught. They expected me to panic. But when you have the wherewithal, when you have the tools, when you know you're a leader, when you're confident in what you do and what you can do, you simply start honing in on what needs to be done so you can apply your craft. Now, all of that happened because I had to mature. I was in the military. I learned a lot. I learned discipline. I learned character. I learned how to follow commands. I learned how to be a leader, and I learned how to follow. And so I want you to keep that in mind, that because all these intangible things that I learned in terms of my personal growth, this helped me in my career to go from a caterpillar through the metamorphosis phase to become a beautiful butterfly and to be a major contribution on very high levels for very large Fortune 100, even Fortune 10 companies. So let's look at 10 common mistakes new professionals make. Mistake number 9. I talked about this earlier, but I wanted to hone in on this. Now, some people will say poor communication skills. Didn't you already say soft skills? Communication is so important. I had to take it outside of soft skills because it's so critical, because it's not something that you can just learn as you go. It's something that you better make it important and better make it serious, because you're going to be communicating every single day. You communicate during interviews. You're going to communicate with different people who are in different levels of authority. You're going to communicate with coworkers. You're going to communicate with peers. You're going to communicate with vendors and suppliers. You're always going to be communicating. You want to make sure your communication is effective. You want to make sure your communication distinguishes you from people who have poor communication. This will give you the advantage, or the competitive advantage, so that when people see you as a technology professional, they look at you a little bit different than they would look at somebody else. Because I'll be frank with you, most technology professionals are not good communicators. So if I'm telling you to learn communication, I'm telling you that it is something so simple to learn that can easily distinguish you from other professionals. This is a skill that's so easy to learn. At least you want to learn it and start applying and start developing it. That is so simple to just start working on, that I don't see why you wouldn't do it, because this literally could be the decision-making point for a hiring manager between one technical professional and you. They might look at you and say, this person communicates more effectively than this person, because they may have problems with communication. And that's literally how it works in the technology industry. There's a lot of communicating, but there's a lot of technology people who don't know how to communicate. And some people just suffer the person who's good at tech and suffer their lack of communication or poor communication. Well, when you enter the room and you're at that same level, they'll get rid of a person like that, because it's easier to do business with you than it is with that resource. So I want you to keep that in mind. Now, I wrote a book called Communicate, Not Communicate: 8 Keys for Leaders and Professionals to Communicate Effectively. And I encourage you to read this and avoid this. So you can see there's some constraint or communication issues taking place. And I don't want it to be like that for you. I want you to be the person who's able to resolve these types of situations and be a peacemaker, because you understand communication and you can stand in the gap between people who don't. Next slide. 10 common mistakes new tech professionals make. Mistake number 10, a lack of leadership skills. I'm going to give you an understanding of what it was like for me in the military. I spoke about this earlier, but I want to hone in on the leadership skills portion of it. Now, there's one thing that I learned in the military, and it was quality followers. We learned you have to be a quality follower and a quality leader. The reason it has to be like that for us in the military is because we go to war. And when we go to war, if something happens to our commander, then we just simply go down the chain of command. The next person in command has to take leadership, and they have to fill those shoes on a moment's notice. And you never know what's going to happen or how it's going to happen. You never even know if you're going to end up in a situation and you're going to be the leader. So therefore, you just have to adapt, and you have to always know when to follow, how to follow, and you know when to lead and how to lead. And you need to remove your ego so that you can adjust to each and be more concerned about the mission and less concerned about the man or the person that's in the leadership position. Because when you make the mission more important than the person, then you're able to overcome all those foolish idiosyncrasies such as ego or people who want to get credit for something. All that stuff gets out of the way. And I learned that in the military because it's a matter of life or death in the situations that we're placed in. So you don't want ego to cause somebody to lose their life or to be harmed in any form or fashion, nor do you want to make a decision that can harm people that should not even be harmed. So learning leadership in the military was really, really critical for me because it dealt with life or death. But now that I left the military and I'm just dealing with business services or business situations, and I'm not making life or death decisions anymore. What it has done for me is it's caused me to be more sensitive to the fact that I need to be a quality follower and a quality leader. Now, I'll give you a quick snippet on leadership. Leadership is not management. Management is dealing with resources and directing and controlling those resources. Leadership is more having a vision and being serious about that vision. And then followers follow leaders who have vision. And then what they'll do is they'll watch the leader's passion. They'll watch the leader's goals. They'll watch the leader work towards it. And then people may be attracted to what that leader is doing and where that leader is going. And then they want to follow the leader. If you think about Steve Jobs, that's the same way it was for him when he started Apple in his garage. People looked at his passion. They looked at his direction that he was going, meaning the vision, the destination, and they wanted to be a part of it. In fact, so much that someone invested, I believe it's like $250,000 initially into the Apple company, which allowed him to launch his business. So just keep that in mind. I want you to understand the difference between leadership and management and all of those types of skills that make you a better professional. And I showed you earlier, but I made the alternative MBA program. I call it the Quick MBA for Tech. And there's a leadership module in there as well as a management module in there. And once you finish taking that course, you will have a very good understanding of leadership, and you'll understand the difference between leadership and management, which is vital because you need to be determined to know who's a good leader and who's a poor leader. If you don't know that, you won't understand who you're around. You'll just see people with titles and assume that they're supposed to be in that position, not realizing that they may not be good leaders. And if you know that, then you could save the company and save your organization or save your department by allowing some form of communication to take place if you doubt that leader's position or decision. And I just want you to keep that in mind. So we'll move on. 10 common mistakes tech professionals make. Summary of mistakes. Mistake number 1. No tech career plan or professional goals to chart their course. This is what we talked about. You need some type of plan or direction. You need to know where you're going. I'm not telling you not to move until you know where you're going. Because you can easily get an opportunity. I don't want you to say, no, I don't want this opportunity because I don't know where I'm going with my career. No, you don't want to do that. You want to take that job. You want to take that opportunity. But while you're in that opportunity, you still want to keep in mind, I need to work towards creating a plan. I need to work towards getting a direction, having a vision for my career so that I'm always doing something to become better and to move forward and work towards a goal that's bigger than me. Mistake number 2, neglecting to investigate the tech industry. You need to investigate the tech industry. You need to understand how it works, how to navigate the tech industry. And the Fast Track to IT program is a good place to start for new professionals or professionals that are transitioning into tech. It was created exactly for these two audience or these particular people. Because I know when I started in tech, I didn't know anything about the industry. I would love to have something like the Fast Track to IT online mentoring program to assist me, because I was just in my dorm room figuring out and just stumbling and making mistakes. Even though I succeeded, I would have thrived instead of survived in the beginning. Now, when it comes to investigating the tech industry, take that serious, because that is directly tied and correlated to how long your career will last. Because if you've been in the tech industry for 10, 15 years and you don't know how it works, and you were just happen to be at one job that you had when you were in an internship, I've seen people like this. And then there was a layoff. They don't know what to do. They don't know how to contact a recruiter. They've never posted their resume on job boards. They don't even remember they don't know anything about technical and non-technical interview. They stayed in that one company, and that's how they matured. So I want you to keep that in mind of how important it is to understand the tech industry, because it's not just for people who just entered the industry. It's for people who have experience in the industry. Like I said, there's some people with 15 years, they've been at one job, and they are ignorant of how the tech industry works. And these are the type of people that I welcome you to call me, give me a coaching call. I'll explain it all to you so that you can understand what you're facing and not get egotistical thinking, well, I got 15 years of experience, they should hire me. Well, if you didn't work on all these things that I discussed in here, then you basically have skipped some levels, and you're going to have a lot of gaps, and it's going to show as you start looking for an opportunity. Mistake number 3 in the summary: no coach or mentor to help guide or plan direction. This is when I showed you that lighthouse. That's what basically a coach or a mentor is there to do, is to be that lighthouse to help you navigate and chart rough waters, or chart the waters, or even find out where you are in your career. Like I said, some people call me, they're already making 6 figures, but they don't know, how did I get here and how do I stay at this level? They don't understand that, because they didn't chart a course. They just happen to take a path that got them to a lucrative position, but they can't repeat what they did. Now, what I'm telling you to do is, I'm giving you the skills in this advice that I'm giving, and as well as in the Fast Track to IT online mentoring program. I'm giving you the skills to be able to fish, basically. Most of these people, they eat fish, but I'm showing you how to fish so you can always have a thriving career in the technology industry. Mistake number 4, short-sighted in thinking that a tech job is a tech career. Don't get caught up in this right here. This is an easy way of just basically becoming. It's basically you're just like that frog in the water when it warms up. You don't even know what's happening. And I don't want you to be like that. You could be assuming that a job is good, not realizing that it's not a career. And when you get that mixed up, you'll find out that if the job lets you go, you're going to have a very difficult time navigating the tech industry or even bringing any value to the industry. So mistake number 5, treating business separate from technology. You want to understand, just like the chicken and the egg, the business comes first. The business and then the tech, the business and then technology. If you get that mixed up, you're going to neglect the business. The business professionals are the ones that control the purse strings of the company. And the saying goes, he who owns the gold controls the world. So you need to keep that in mind, that the business people control the money. And if you don't care about the business won't care about you. Let's move on. 10 common mistakes new tech professionals make. Summary of mistakes. We're continuing. Mistake number 6, not developing soft skills or not developing tech skills. And I told you in the analogy, it's tech skills and soft skills are like peanut butter and jelly. The techies need to learn soft skills, and those who have soft skill careers, they need to understand technology. So it goes both ways. Mistake number 7, becoming complacent and are not keeping skills up to date. This will cause you to be what we say in the military, at least in basic training. This can cause you to be washed out of the tech industry because you position yourself that you did not prepare yourself to continually succeed, and you are going to be in a situation where the company may no longer need you, and the tech industry, you may not have skills that are in demand anymore. Maybe 10 years ago you had the latest and greatest technology in your mind, and now 10 years later no one's really using that technology anymore. They've moved on to something greater that saves them more money and does things faster for them. So just keep that in mind. Mistake number 9, poor communication skills. This is something you can easily start working on. I wrote an ebook on this, and it's also in audiobook format. I tailored it for tech professionals. I would encourage you to check that out. If you're serious about becoming an astute tech professional with the mind to be in the technology business or industry long term, and you want to thrive and not just survive. Number 10, a lack of leadership skills. Now, some people who don't understand leadership will think, well, I'm not a manager, I'm not a director, I'm not a vice president. You don't need to be. As I was saying earlier, a leader is somebody that has vision, and you need to have vision for your projects that you're working on. You need to have vision for your life. You're always going to be leading in some form or fashion. You may be a leader in your family. You need leadership skills, because leadership skills, whether you learn them by leading your family, whether you learn them by being in some sort of religious institution, whether you learn them when you played sports as a child, these skills are invaluable, and these skills will set you up to have long-term success. Leadership skills are the type of skills that you can't really measure. Some of the leadership skills, you can't really measure some of these things. These are intangibles, but these are skills that distinguish you, that give you personal power and not positional power, meaning that a lot of managers have power in their title, so they can tell people what to do. But leaders have personal power. They have the power of generating vision, and people follow them. And I want you to keep that in mind. So let's move on. I want to thank you for watching. And if you like this material, please hit the like button, share it, and I want you also to subscribe. This will let me know that you enjoy the content that I'm providing, and I'll be more enthusiastic to create more content for you. Now, this is JumpStart IT Academy. I'm your host, Chris Johnson. I'll see you in the next video.